All right, salam alaikum, brother. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, long time no see. People are gonna think I
Yeah,
don't change my clothes, but
yeah,
all right.
exactly. Same here. Same here. The weather never changes. It's like permanently daytime
Sometimes we
and
record
sunny,
it in long
right?
segments here. Okay, so alhamdulillah, we had an exciting last episode. We got a little bit more into the practicalities of buying silver, what to do with it. Want to try to finish up that conversation and then finally get into XRP here. Before we do that, I mean, part of the reason why we're doing this is just to have some real conversations. We feel like there are two types of conversations out there now, either really heavy and serious and spiritual, and obviously we there's a need for that, or completely comical and just making light of everything. But there's not really something in the middle where we can talk about real things that affect us every day, and that's kind of our goal is to, bring everyone in
Exactly.
on this conversation, inshallah. And just by way of quick background, my name is Ahmed, and I'm living in Florida now. Originally from New York, originally Egyptian, and before that Kurdish. And I am a lawyer by trade and a poet by heart. So don't hold that against me. I'll tell you a quick lawyer joke. Why did the shark not eat the lawyer in the water? Answer, professional courtesy. So now, so now we have that. A quick introduction on your end, then we'll get right into it.
Yeah. So my name is Amir, and I am in Austin now. After 13 years in Toronto and 20 years, over 20 years in New York. Prior to that, I was actually born in England, but my parents are Pakistani, so that's my background. I'm now living on a farm. I don't know if you can see that. No, you can't see that. It's too bright. And in Austin, and I run a startup out of Austin.
So, and it seems like you have a lot of knowledge about this topic in particular. Is this something that you've been researching over a period of time, or can you tell me a little bit about that?
So when I graduated university, I joined Merrill Lynch, and I spent about 15 years on Wall Street in both a banking capacity and also in technology management. When I left Wall Street in 2007, as we mentioned last time, I began looking into the Austrian School of Economics. While I'm no expert at it, I understand a little bit about sound money. And so I began to manage my own money using those principles.
And I want to mention there's a book I've been reading called The Simple Path to Wealth. I don't know. There's some information out there that's probably not going to be applicable because he does talk about using Vanguard and stocks, and we're not really into the stock market because we don't see it as reliable. At least I don't. But the concepts he talks about in that book are really interesting, and basically like paying off your debt. First, really focusing on that. Investing consistently over a long period of time. Really basic stuff, but the way he says it is very entertaining. I think it's J.L. Collins or something like that. It's called The Simple Path to Wealth. So that's something I've enjoyed reading. Is there something on the Austrian School of Economics, a book that you would recommend or a resource someone can get up to speed on it?
Oh, good one. Let's put that in the show notes.
Okay, inshallah.
We'll put that in the link below
Yeah.
with the recommendation. There's several out there, but there's quite a few books that I want to definitely recommend. The first one I would say is The Creature from Jekyll Island.
The Creature from
So
Jekyll Island.
The Creature from Jekyll Island, yes,
I
by
like the name.
Edward R. Griffin. Talks about why we're here, what's actually really going on with the Fed and the banking world, um, and a very interesting read.
Okay,
Highly
excellent.
recommend it. Yeah.
Excellent. So why don't we get started? You can share your screen, inshallah, and we can talk about. I think there was just to kind of bring people back up to speed. We had some websites for people here in the U.S., particularly in Florida. I mean, you can buy it from anywhere in the U.S., I presume, or maybe even if you're close to the U.S. We had a resource for people in Canada, but there was, I think you mentioned the website for people. Another one that was great for Canadians to get into, or international investors with larger amounts of wealth that they can purchase from. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct. So just kind of rounding off where we left off last week, um, for Canadians, actually anybody in the world, if you want to store, you want to diversify. You don't want to keep all of your metal in one spot. So we talked about vaults last week. We talked about storage in your backyard, for instance, for example. But what you want, if you got large amounts of wealth, you want to store it in different jurisdictions because each jurisdiction can come down and basically
Mm.
outlaw the ownership of physical pure metal. That's why you want to store a lot of it in the backyard and nothing in the banking institution.
You
If
can
you
really
store
do
it,
that though. Like time out. They can really be like, you can't own. I mean, I guess you did say that they are outlawing like owning chickens, so it's not that
No,
crazy. But they do that.
from 1930 to 1970, they had banned the ownership of gold. It was illegal to own gold in
Fair.
America. In America.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. So those people who were smart, there are ways to do it. Those
Mhm.
people who were smart, you can get away with owning it in different ways. There were certain things that were banned.
I see.
There were certain items that were banned, and then there were certain ones that you could get away with not but would continue to own. And so yeah, so that's so you
Okay.
want to be careful about that. That's why I'm a buyer of silver. I don't think they can ban silver.
Hmm.
They can do anything they want. I'm not a predictor of the future,
Right.
but
But I
yeah.
guess the point is
So
not just, in this doomsday scenario. Again, the point is just we're talking about building generational wealth. And again, a large segment of our crowd are Muslims, and this is just something I feel like we're bad at. Like why are we not teaching our kids financial literacy? Like why do we have to sit through, no offense, and I get fundraisers and stuff, but do I really have to sit through a fundraiser every Ramadan? I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm happy to donate if I can.
yeah,
But why can't we buy an endowment? How come we're not buying shopping centers and charging rent and then having that fund the masjid? Just like there's a church down the street from here. They have a bakery, and guess what? All the proceeds from there, and it's doing well. It's a coffee shop. It goes to the masjid. So I guess I personally am very frustrated with this old way of thinking, and I don't blame the old generation because I think that's the other extreme, right? They did their
yeah.
job. They came here. They dealt with their difficulties. But let's use our Western education and this European, organization, and actually like use it to propel the next generation forward.
100%. We are not doing what we're supposed to be doing. We should be training our children about sound money. What is money, and how does it move in the world? Absolutely. And we're coming to a point in history where it's super important now to know these principles.
Right. Okay, so you were saying now this is for our Canadian friends, this is a good resource for them to be able to purchase,
This
and also
that's right.
just Americans too, because like you're saying, I don't have all my money in America
Or Brits,
or
if
Brits.
you want diversity, geographic diversity,
Hmm.
you can absolutely send your money to Spot Money. Highly recommended, marquee name in the business in this area.
Okay.
So you can purchase gold and silver here. For our international, again, more international, this is
Hmm.
a silver bullion. You can see .com.sg. This is a
Hmm.
Singaporean vault where
Love it.
I also have an account. You can purchase your metals from here, and they will store it for you
Mm.
at the same time. Again, speaking to jurisdiction, and if you want it delivered to you, they will deliver it to you. If you
And
want it
this
sold, they will sell it to you. They will sell it
this
for
is
you.
you were saying that this is for also if you have larger amounts of wealth. This is a good resource, the silver bullion one, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
You want to diversify geographically as much as possible. And so these are the ones that I recommend. And I've actually visited this vault. I've actually met the owner of this vault a long time ago.
So
So
I
that's
mean that's
so
helpful to know too, like that you've actually met these people and like visited again because I mean someone like me, I don't know any of this. This is all just online and like we're afraid. But that's I guess the point of this is like knowing people that actually have dealt with this, bought from here, met these people,
yeah,
seen these vaults. It's real.
yeah, this is absolutely real. And they store, I believe now, I believe they have their own vault. This was
Hmm.
kind of recent in the last 5 to 7 years. But
Hmm.
prior to that, they were storing the vault in Certco Cisco, I believe is the name of the company, which is an independent vault only. So there's
Okay.
another vault in Singapore that is world known, very, very reasonable lease rates. And you can basically have your gold delivered there and stored there, and you will even be given a key.
Wow, that's just probably the coolest thing. I mean, I'm just thinking of all these like
Yeah,
movies or like just you will be entered down to the vault, Mr. Elgindy, and then just
it's
like like
it's
is that
phenomenal.
how it
Yeah,
is?
it's an experience. It's And look at this. Look at this. There's a 15 kg. There's an advertisement going on here.
Yeah.
Only $1.30 over spot. Only a
Uh,
dollar thirty over spot. Look at this.
oh snap.
So yeah, and I don't know what this bar is. Nadir silver sounds Egyptian, actually. Interestingly,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
15 kg bar is a very large bar.
Mm.
Very large bar. That's one thing.
Hmm.
It's going to be very heavy, so it's $1.30 over spot. So
Maybe that's
that
why
this
it's a low premium, right? Because the heavy bar.
that it's a lower. It's not something that you're going to carry out with you. It's
Right.
something that you're going to store there. You're storing your wealth, and then when you're ready to sell it, you'll end up selling it into something else at some,
So let me
at
ask you
some
that.
later
Like,
point.
let's say I get this 15 kg bar and I'm storing it in Singapore. Okay, and I'm
Hmm.
feeling like a super boss. Now I want to sell this thing.
Hmm.
How do I go about doing that? Is it someone can help me like actually move it? Does the bank or the vault rather deal with that? Like, how do I
Yeah.
transact that?
So let's say you purchase from here.
Okay.
They're full life cycle. They're soup to nuts. They'll buy
Oh,
and they'll sell for you, and they'll transfer the
okay.
money to you. Yeah. So you'll
So
open an
that's
account. You'll get a login. Everything is done online. Nothing. And if you their email response rates are very quick. So it's great. And they have other. If you notice here, bullion secured.
mm,
Let's go back here. Bullion secured peer-to-peer loans. This
mhm,
might be interest. So yeah,
mhm.
per annum. This might be straight interest, lowest
Right,
lending
right.
offer.
Okay.
But they seem to have other
But
financial
right.
products that you may be able to earn something on. Again, this might be interest, so it
Yeah.
won't be completely halal, but there may be other products that are out there where they do leases also.
So
I don't
so it
know about.
sounds like Golden Statement is the go-to as far as if I want my transacting 3 to 6 month supply, that I'm gonna keep around. And then if for my larger investments or my more long-term stuff, that then I would probably go more to silverbullion.com, who can help me through that entire process and is legitimate and has good stuff. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Silver bullion is a tax-free zone. Sorry, Singapore, I
Mhm.
believe, is a tax-free zone.
Allahu Akbar.
Um, and like Dubai, the issue with Dubai is I just don't trust. I haven't developed a relationship there
I don't know
that I
if
trust.
anybody really trusts to buy. No
Yeah.
offense, but
I mean,
yeah,
it can just close its doors and all of a sudden you don't have access to anything.
yeah,
And so that's why you want to go to a jurisdiction that has some rules and regulations, some
yeah,
constitution about
right,
it. And that's why people love living in America and love living in
yeah,
Europe, because there's constitution, there's law. That
sure,
law is kind of loosey goosey, but
right.
still, it's better than China or the Middle East.
Plus, you've seen the Singaporeans at Omer and Hedge. They don't mess around. Just like a flock. Boom, boom. Get in that pack, you're good.
They're very professional, very
Yep.
professional.
Yep. Okay, so
So,
tell me
okay,
about this, 1-800, I'm gonna need a fatwa here as far as like gold credit cards or is the silver
yes.
bullion thing done? Yeah. Let me
So
see this credit
yeah,
card.
let's talk about that here.
Yeah.
So another thing that can be done, again, this is for everyday transactions. We are going to digital money. It looks like it's a massive wave, an onslaught of digital money that's happening in the world, a trend. And so you're going to see new products come out like Glint, and there's
Okay.
another one that I'll talk about in a second. Basically, what this is, it's very simple. You're given a credit card, and the credit card is backed by um, a few instruments, namely gold and a couple of other. You can keep your money in US dollars, you can keep your money in euros, or you can keep your money in gold. So let's say you have $10,000. You
Okay.
would send them $10,000. You can leave it as US dollars,
Mhm.
or you can convert part or whole of that $10,000 into gold,
Okay.
and literally as small as 1 gram.
Okay.
And what that does is when you go when you go and purchase milk at the 7-Eleven, which
Okay.
I would not recommend that anybody
I would
do,
not
but
recommend
let's
that.
just
That.
no. Um,
Okay.
we yeah. So if
But
you
I
do
get
that,
it. Yeah.
you can use a credit card and you're paying in gold. And so what's
Wow.
happening is that you're taking the currency risk out of your portfolio, even more
Mm.
so from everyday spending. And if the US dollar falls off the face of the earth, which I don't think it will, and
You
we
don't think
shouldn't
it ever
expect it
will?
to, I think it will, but there'll be enough advance notice that you'll be able to convert your money, or your money will be forcibly converted into something into whatever the new currency is.
So basically,
I
you're
don't.
saying we're going to get ripped off majorly, but not completely, left with nothing.
There's a possibility. So when they do that conversion,
Yeah.
they're going to set the rate.
Right.
That means I'm out of control, and
Right.
the way for us to get control back is to convert our money into precious metals and retain that control. That's
I
what I'm
see.
doing.
Because when they do set that rate, it's going to be lower, presumably, than what you would have had now, than what you're dealing with, because you have
Well,
to,
it's
right?
well, what does that mean practically speaking? That
Yeah,
means that if I've got this pen and
right.
this pen costs $1,
Mhm.
and they convert US dollars into CBDC,
Okay.
whatever that's going to be called, the CBDC current, the digital coin.
Okay.
That now you need 10 digital coins to purchase
Mhm.
this. What
Okay.
was that conversion? What was that conversion? We have no idea what that conversion is going to be, and what
Hmm.
what is what is 10 digital coins? What
Hmm.
really is the worth of 10 digital coins? And it
Right.
might be a 10 to, in Weimar Germany, in Venezuela, in Turkey, in Argentina, in Zimbabwe, when conversions occurred, they occurred at the expense of the people.
So they've done this in these countries. They've changed to digital currency.
Not digital currency, they changed to another currency.
Okay, I see.
They
Has
outlawed
anyone
they
changed to
out
a digital currency?
um that's happening now. We're going through
Okay.
that massive sea change right now in the
Mm.
world.
Mm.
And
So,
the
and I love,
crypto
yeah, go
the
ahead.
the crypto market is the foretelling of this. So right now crypto
Mm.
is just trading. People are just like huge number of coins that are coming up.
Hmm.
It's very overwhelming for me even.
Okay. Right.
um there's a huge number of coins that are coming up, and all they're doing is people are just buying and speculating. They're buying and selling,
Okay.
speculating. There's no intrinsic value whatsoever. I
I would
will
push
go
back on
into
that for a little bit, but when you're done,
yeah.
because some of them, again, because of their uses, like the blockchain technology within it, how it's utilized for supply chains, I would argue there is some intrinsic value in certain ones.
So yeah, exactly. So there's two types of coins. There's something that you stake with, and I think that potentially has some backing. Um, this is going to figure itself out, and
Right.
you'll know, it'll become obvious where you would which digital coin you would rather want to be in.
Okay.
Right now, the only language I know is sound money,
Right.
and I want to keep my life very simple. And
Right.
I want to go into coins that are potentially going to be the future or be backed by gold and silver
Okay.
before I do any level of speculation with whatever little money that I have.
So let's talk about. I think that's a good segue. But before we do, just like, is this Glint thing like what I think it is? Which is like sounds like amazing. If I'm someone here stressing about, I know this thing is going to happen. Probably Allah knows best. But I think that things are going to go like the way you're saying eventually, and I don't want to miss the transition. But I also don't want to go too soon because I don't want to have to deal with the hassle of like changing my silver. I mean, like, look, mashallah, you're really adept at this and like you're really on it. And I feel like you can navigate it easier for people like me that are like, I kind of get it, but I still am not super in the weeds with it. It's want it like as simple as possible. And so it seems like this Glint thing is that answer because like, here is how I can change my money to just in case this conversion happens, but I don't have to sacrifice anything because I'm getting to use it like a regular card for my daily transactions. Am I missing something?
Yeah, no, you've hit the nail right on the head. I'm not saying that I'm recommending this.
Mhm.
Everybody has different levels of transactability, or how what they're comfortable with.
Right.
You have to do your due diligence. I'm happy
Correct.
to answer questions. Happy to
Inshallah.
answer questions about this. And if we want to dive deeper into this, we can based on
Mhm.
user questions.
Mhm.
But you have to do your due diligence. It's your wealth. You have
Of
to make
course.
sure that you're looking after it.
And we said credit card though, but it's really more like a golden debit card, right? I mean, like you're
Yeah.
giving them your value.
Yes.
So let me ask you one last question about it. Do you lose something in the transactions, in the conversions, like converting to gold and like,
It's
with these
minimal.
with these okay, with these cards, you always feel like they're taking something off the back end. It's minimal, and that's kind of mitigation of the risk of what I'm going to lose anyway. If I keep my money in cash, I'm gonna lose way more, right?
That's right. You're losing more in inflation per year.
Okay. Okay, I like it. MashaAllah. All right. So tell me, should we dive then into these
This
blockchain and
this
cryptocurrency or
Yeah, so this is one, and here's another one that I happen to have an account with these guys. I don't have a Glint account, but I've been thinking about doing a Glint account. But I have a Kinesis account. This is Kinesis Money, Kinesis.Money. It's the company is called Kinesis. I know about them, and you can see that they've got excellent ratings here. I have an account, and I've been doing stuff here. Now, this is strictly currency, but
What?
you can see that they have gold,
Okay.
and they consider gold as currency.
So basically,
Okay,
same difference. They're just calling gold currency.
they're calling gold currency, but they've got a bunch of digital currencies in here too.
Okay, I
So they've
see.
got US dollar, they've got the euro. So in other words, you can buy euro, you can open an account here.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, it's a digital platform. You wire your money in, and
Mhm.
then your money is in whatever denomination you were wired into.
Mhm. Okay.
The bank is in Australia. Okay,
Okay.
I believe this is an Australian company.
Right.
It has some Middle Eastern board of directors or investors
Nice.
in this. This
Mashallah.
is a fairly new. It's about I would say 3 to 4 years old,
Okay.
perhaps less.
Mm.
And yeah, it's a pretty interesting product.
Yeah.
They give you a credit card. As you can see, it's not
Mhm.
a credit card; it's a
Mhm.
debit card that you can
Right.
spend your money in.
Right.
Right now, it seems like for Americans, the limit is $500 spending limit, and so you have to keep transferring money into the credit card.
Oh,
Because it's new, they're keeping
I
the
see.
risk profile low. Now, what happens is that when you
We are pretty
transfer,
risky, us
yeah,
Americans.
so when you transfer your money in, um, your money will get transferred into whatever denomination you sent it into,
Mhm.
like US dollars will US dollars, and then while you're in there, you can buy whatever you want to buy. Now, are you buying gold? Yes, actually, they say that you're buying gold. Now, the Islamic ruling is that when you purchase gold and silver, and this is true for gold and silver for sure, I don't know about other commodities. I believe it's true for the other commodities that you have to see it or be able to touch it, or actually touch it.
I wanted to ask you about
In,
this. Is that the actual ruling, or is it that it has to be real? That it has to be a real thing? Because that's a
I think
difference.
I so they say it's real, and they
Right.
say it's in their vault, but so do a whole bunch of other people.
Right.
And the timelessness of Islam is
Okay.
so incredible. It's so incredible. I think you have to touch it.
I see.
And so I'm not recommending this by any stretch of the
Because
imagination.
you're not sure
I'm
about
just
its
letting
Islamic permissibility, you're basically saying.
because of the Islamic permissibility.
Okay.
Um, um, but you're able to do other currencies, and this is a
Mhm.
very, very convenient way to kind of put some wealth away, put
Right.
some money away into this service and weather out a storm that may be coming on the horizon.
And
And
also,
you
there's
can,
the Islamic principle of like, pick the lesser of the evils, right? So as between this and MasterCard's 18% APY or whatever the interest is, you know what I mean? Like, I think
well,
there's
this is a
something to be said about that.
this is also a debit card.
Right,
So
right.
so this is a debit card, and I don't know about. So it says you have personal. I have a personal account. There's an investor account. There's a trader account, and there are
Okay.
different levels of commissions that are there for that. So at the end of the day, when I started speaking about Kinesis, um, it's basically you can park your money in different currencies.
I
And so if
see.
you send $10,000 in, you can literally have micro amounts like $500 in the euro, $500 in gold. If they call it KAU or
Hmm.
KAG, right? That's what the currency is called.
Yeah.
And one Kinesis gold is 1 gram of physical gold and bullion. So they say that they are backed by gold and silver with
So
physical.
this looks really enticing to me. I got to be honest, because when the 500 limit, are you saying that that's monthly? I can only put in 500 a month, or I can only spend 500 a month.
No, I think once as you spend, you can keep
Mhm.
adding, you can keep topping it off.
So, but I can basically, I can only put the max 500 in, and
Only max
then
500 in. Yeah.
okay, got you. And then as far as transaction fees, like if I use like an international card in the US or I make an international purchase in the US, I'll get an international fee. Do you think I'll run into that problem using this kind of card?
The fees are charged by different entities. I wouldn't be able to answer that question.
Yeah.
There will be fees for transactions, but because we're now in the digital realm, the fees are much, much less than we're used to. It's
Okay.
not the 3% that PayPal charges. or it's
Right.
not the, those are exorbitant fees. We're in the like 0.3% range
Got you.
when
Okay.
we're transacting.
Okay.
Again, I haven't really done that particular use case,
Hmm.
but the fees are much less. So
Okay.
just to be clear,
Yeah.
your money can be in several different currencies, two of which could be the silver or gold, and it's stored like a bank. It's not a bank. Okay, think of it like a brokerage house or an exchange place. It's an exchange actually, and you're given a credit card and you can spend it. You
Debit
can
card.
also,
Right.
and the other currencies are also cryptocurrencies. You can also purchase cryptocurrencies here.
So once this thing ups its limit, this is my go-to. As long as I mean, we do need like basically muftis who are up on the finance, who know this, who can really give us a ruling on this. But say that if it is permissible, I mean, this is like a dream come true. It's like from someone like me, it's like this is like easy to use, simple, and I can get like all the versatility that I need. Boom, I'll get my cryptocurrency, I'll get my gold, I'll get my silver, and I can transact it.
Yeah, it's incredible. So here's Bitcoin, right?
Mhm.
I'm not a purchaser of Bitcoin, just as an FYI.
Yeah,
So you can have your savings in any of the currencies in the back end, and you can transfer it to this. And when you go and buy milk, it'll transact in the currency that you've pre-selected already, and it'll make the exchange at that point in time, and you've made your purchase.
so wait, so like for example, I go to buy milk, okay?
Mhm.
Then I select like US dollars or gold or whatever.
No. It's already pre-selected from before.
Right.
You've already pre-selected how you want to spend your money, in what
Right.
currency you want to spend you want your card to be taking from which account, which currency do you want to use when you use the card.
Right. So basically, let's say for example, I could have $100 in just cash, and let's say I have 400. Right. So then
Hmm.
I'll keep my 400 in the precious metal. Let's say I keep 100 in like blockchain technology,
Yes,
300 in like, precious metals, and 100 in cash. That way, if the cash goes bad or the value severely goes down, doesn't matter. But if it doesn't, then I can transact with it real quick. Most of my stuff is in like protected long-term stuff that will hold its
exactly,
value, and
exactly.
a little bit of my stuff could just blow up quick overnight, and then
It's a
we might.
beautiful product. It's a
Right.
beautiful product.
Okay. So
And
tell
and
me
and, and
about,
look,
yeah,
so
yeah.
actually, I'm wrong. So sky high daily limits, so you can spend up to $15,000 over 400 every single month. So
Euros,
yeah, euros.
even more,
So I think there might have been
an
some
increase.
issue with being in the US, or there are different rules here.
I see.
I have to look into that again, but it looks like,
Oh,
if you're in other countries,
yeah.
you have a lot more flexibility.
Which is to your point, I mean, about earlier, right? To kind of add in the legal nuance, you're like, there's always ways around, right? And that's that. Look,
Hmm.
there's a fine line between strategy and manipulation, and a lot
Yeah,
of that comes just down to it to intent. But at the end of the day, if you're in other countries, well, what does that mean? When it comes to tax purposes, there's actually specific definitions in the tax code as to how many
100%.
days you're in the U.S. that qualifies you as that. So, I mean, these things that used to be afterthought or used to be things just for if I have 15 million, I think these are now relevant to people who are again in good professional positions and otherwise, and
Yeah.
are thinking long term strategically.
Yep. And we can get into to a limited extent. I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer, but there are offshore entities that you can form. For instance, you can form an entity in the Marshall Islands. I'm not sure if that's on vogue anymore, but you can form offshore entities. You can form a trust, a living trust, that covers an LLC, and to protect your wealth. So for those people who are wealthier and they want their different vehicles that you can actually use to protect your money in while living in the United States or anywhere else in the world.
And on that note, trust again. This is not legal advice whatsoever, but
Mm-hmm.
trusts are definitely known by my colleagues to be preferred over things like estates and probate, where you have to go through the court system.
Agreed.
A trust is basically a contract, and you have a trustee that you designate. You could have multiple trustees, successor trustees. So that's definitely something to look into. And then for other people again who maybe not at that level, but do want to have a will or something in place, I highly recommend mywasia.com. Just for myself, again, that's something I've used. It was super simple. Literally took me like 10 minutes, and it cost like $75. And for that, they have a document that purports to be effective in like 48 out of the 50 states. And so,
Mm,
as I think there is the hadith about you shouldn't sleep like 2 nights in a row without having some kind of like
absolutely.
state document. So just for what it's worth,
Right,
something we put
right.
off. You know.
So yeah. So okay. So let's get into the crypto discussion then.
All right.
This is a perfect segue for that. So I have not been a purchaser of crypto for at all until recently. And the reason why I decided to get into crypto is because something just came across my desk, if you will, that just sounded really compelling. And so I'm not giving financial advice at all because this is still the wild wild west. Um, but XRP has come up for me, and what I've found is that XRP seems to be laying this groundwork, this fabric of transactability across the world. So when banks send money to another entity, or when an individual sends money or conducts a payment over online, it has to pass through some fabric. And that's the way I think of it. And that fabric is XRP. This is what this is. I think there are other competitors out there, but it seems like XRP has the highest level of partnerships, and they're going through. Interestingly, they're going through a lawsuit with the
Right.
SEC today,
I was going to mention that.
and that lawsuit, to me, I believe, is another they thing where they're
Right.
suppressing the price of XRP. It's now around 50 cents, 52 cents, so that all of these elites can get in. And there are some very interesting things that I'm hearing about XRP, and that's all I
So
can.
that So that's what I was going to say is actually, aren't they doing us a favor? Because I'm really hoping this lawsuit just like continues a bit longer so I can get in on XRP. Right now, I don't have the liquidity to jump right in, but it's almost like they're doing us a favor by keeping, because my understanding is once this lawsuit is over, which honestly could be like relatively soon, it depends. Litigation is very unpredictable like that.
Hmm.
Then it's going to skyrocket up, is my understanding. And what we can maybe do, because we only have 7 minutes left, is maybe talk a little bit about cryptocurrency and blockchain in general. And then we can get into the next episode really of why XRP, what are the functionalities, and then some of the more pragmatic points as we did with silver.
Yeah, so I'm a newbie to crypto and blockchain. Basically, every single transaction can be traced with blockchain technology, and that's really the impetus behind blockchain. It's a ledger system. Maybe you know better than I do, given the legalese behind it. But it's a ledger system that's meant to, everything is recorded and everything is traceable back to its origin. It's a way for the authorities to keep an eye on us, but it's also used in other areas. So I'm in the soil business, for instance. I make soil. Now, today, the reason why, and we're going to use blockchain technology around the soil that I'm making. Why?
Inshallah.
Well, if I asked you when when you go to the grocery store and you bought a head of lettuce, where did that lettuce come from? You'd be hard pressed for an answer. Much less what other inputs are going into the soil. There are all kinds of chemicals going into the soil. So for me to differentiate my soil with everybody else that's out there, I'm locking up all the sources of raw material with blockchain so that we can trace back to where did that raw material come from and be able to audit that source of it. And so that's what blockchain is, a very process oriented, incredible piece of technology that has only come around because we're now in a digital world. And
Yeah,
then
I
there's
mean,
a crypto.
sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Please, no, please go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, I think I really liked how you said, it's essentially like a ledger, because I think that's really the most accurate way to describe it. And it sound, one thing to keep in mind is that differentiating cryptocurrency from blockchain, right? Cryptocurrency uses is a subset of blockchain technology, but blockchain technology is really the new thing. It's not really a new thing in the sense that it's really a compilation of other technologies that have existed, but it's that unique combination that really makes a difference. And the effect of that technology, people say, and not just people, basically geniuses that are with us, in the modern world, are saying that the impact of that is bigger than no internet to internet. This is the kind of swing that we're having. And this is something that I was at one point like on the emerging technologies sector of my firm and was like designated with looking into this. So even for me, like I'm also a newbie and looking into there's like people who can explain this way better. But the essence of it is that there's this new form of technology. It has to do with pseudo anonymity, I think is part of the secret sauce, right? It's like everybody has the access, to the spreadsheet, say, but I can't necessarily see all the points of data. But there's technology within that decodes and is reliable and is on a very high encryption level that cannot be changed. It's kind of like, it's a really bad
Mm-hmm.
comparison, but when they talk about mutawatir hadith, one thing I think is fascinating about that
Mm-hmm.
is that it's
Mm.
mathematically impossible for it to be a lie because you
That's
literally
like a
can,
ledger.
right?
Yes.
You cannot have that many people saying the same exact thing. Look at a game of
Yeah.
telephone, even just one little circle, and by the end of it, the message changed. So you're getting the same message through so many different sources, and all of those sources are known to be authentic. That's kind of a way that this technology is kind of working, is that it has that reliability, it has that decentralization. So when it comes to us utilizing it, it's not a future thing, right? It's like Walmart's using it in their supply chain. Swiss banks are using it. These companies are already using it. It's just like you said, it's really a matter of trying to figure out which one is going to come out on top and how can we learn this technology? Because now, it's even like software coding. That's a big field. But where are young Muslims learning blockchain coding? Because I'm telling you, in 5 years, that's going to be forget six-figure paying job. It's going to be, you made 200 grand starting probably. It's very
Yes.
underutilized and we don't know where it's going, but it's going somewhere big for sure, inshallah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And just for the layperson, ledger basically means something that's a place that you record it and it's not erasable. Just that's all we mean by ledger. It's recorded somewhere and you can go back and audit it and it's always going to be there in layman's terms because a lot of our listeners just wouldn't even understand what a ledger means.
Good point. And also like two examples of it, like that I thought of is like a smart contract, right? So let's say
Mm,
that before in a real estate closing, I have to send you the money, for the property, and then you have to transfer title. Part of what blockchain technology does is that automates that process. It takes the actors out. So it makes it such that there's a computer code where when I send this money to this bank account, it automatically triggers a transfer of the property title. So there's no more fraud and things like this because there's no opportunity to do that. It's encrypted into the actual algorithm, into the technology. And also another use of it is, for example, like when it comes to keeping your own medical information. This doctor has it stored, and then your orthopedist has it stored, and your chiropractor has information, and then this hospital. But in the future, it may be that each of those places will then just scan like a node, like we'll give you on your blockchain, right? We'll give you that information. And then the next doctor adds that information on the blockchain. And then the next doctor. So then you have basically a QR code when a place scans it. Now, boom, all of your information is now kept. It's not with some outside source that can be hacked, like Target got hacked, like all these big companies that are unhackable got hacked, right? It's now actually in your hands and it's highly protected.
right, right. Absolutely. Agreed.
So I
Yeah.
think that's pretty much brings us to a conclusion just on this
Yes.
introductory session. Thank you so much for really making
Thank
clear
you.
a complicated session, and inshallah we can continue on XRP and why we think it's going to be the future next time.
Fantastic.
All right, salam alaikum.
Okay. Take care. Until next time.
Yep.